Well, thank you very much for tuning in. Um, Gloss has been around for a long time, and so anytime I have the opportunity to share about Gloss, I'm always grateful. So thank you for joining me. To get started, I want to tell a little bit about myself because my story is sort of weaved into Gloss's story. So Gloss was founded in 2006, and the idea actually came when I was in college. I was actually trying to work out my housing plans for my junior year, and I knew that I wanted to like live by myself, but I needed to figure out a way to sort of produce some additional income. And so I thought about my passions, I thought about what I was studying in school. And so I had this initial idea of hosting retreats for young ladies. And so that would be the thing I would do instead of having roommates. And so I continued to work on this idea, and it really kind of grew from just being like a retreat type experience that I might do once or twice a month with young ladies to actually being an organization that they could be a part of over an extended period of time. I also was growing in my walk with the Lord during that period and just was coming to some realizations about, about life and wanted to just be able to offer something that was a little bit deeper and not surface. And so I was also studying hospitality in school. So, really, kind of my passion, my love for God, my spiritual gifts kind of blended together. And that's really how Gloss began. So, in addition to Gloss, presently these days, I do still work in the hospitality industry. I like to say I'm hospitality adjacent. I work for a private club, and it's a members only private dining club, and I'm their member relations manager. So it's a bit of sales, it's a bit of hospitality, it's a lot of customer service, and it's also a lot of just brand representing. And so in addition to that, I do teach hospitality for Atlanta Technical College, and I occasionally will teach career fundamental courses for Helms College. I do operate an Airbnb as well, which is kind of fun. And I have some other long-term hospitality ventures, but right now I think my plate is pretty full with career things. So on to some statistics about females. So females obviously represent 50% of the world's population. So there's definitely a need for an organization like Gloss. And we are really interested in ensuring that we help nurture a sense of self in like young ladies. We also think it's important to continue to share about Gloss because we always want to make sure the opportunity is available. There's a stat that basically says that 70% of girls are interested in like having a mentor, but they don't really know where to start and where to find them. And so that's why it's a big deal for us to host interest meets and to be out in the community and on social so that the opportunity can be available to them. We also want to make a dent in prevention. So I remember when Gloss first started, and I would meet people and they would say, "Oh, my niece or my daughter needs to be in this because we're just having so many problems and we don't know what to do with her." And a lot of times it would be because there are concerns that they would see with these young ladies. But at this point, they're like 16, 17 years old. And not to say that none of us are beyond getting the support and the encouragement and things that we need. But imagine if their young lady had been a part of Gloss when she was 5, when she was 6, when she was 7, how much of an impact or a shift that could have happened in their life. So our target audience is actually young ladies between the ages of 5 and 25 years old. And then the last stat I always like to share has to do with spirituality. Yes, young ladies are functioning and living in a world, and so there is the personal development, the character, the leadership. But at the end of the day, they're also little spirit beings, and we know that 33% of the Gen Z population, so those between 10 and 25, don't have a religious affiliation. And the concern there is that when you don't have that, there isn't an anchor, and life presents way too many obstacles for a young lady to not have an anchor. So we want to be able to equip them with mentors who are in our organization. We call them coaches We want to equip them with community and with experiences and truths that can help provide an anchor that gives them tools so that when they face challenges, they're not going at them alone and they're not going at them without resources or support. And so ultimately, the thief's purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy. But my Jesus's purpose is to give them a rich and a satisfying life. And so that's what we see ourselves as being a part of God's plan in the lives of of young ladies and helping them navigate those phases so that when the enemy is after them, they know how to fight. So GLOS stands for God's Ladies of Significance and Service. We've been around since 2006, so we're like a full-grown teenager morphing into young adulthood. And really, we're a unique faith-based lifetime sisterhood for young ladies between the ages of 5 and 25 years old and assisting young ladies as they go through the phases of life, not just when things are difficult, but we want to be there to cheer them on when they're shining and when they're blossoming um, as they're going through life. We have been around. In 3 different cities, actually 4. We're currently active in 2 cities. We're in the Atlanta metro area and we are in the Augusta area, and it is our desire to continue to expand. And over the years, we've been able to serve 100 plus young ladies. So we might be almost at that 130 mark. And then we've had a range of volunteers. So we have ladies that interact directly and indirectly with our young ladies. Alrighty, so this is a quick glimpse of our timeline, bridging the gap between home and church of in the lives of young ladies since 2006. That's our story. We're sticking to it. So this is actually a quick image from a local newspaper that we got a little feature in. In my parents' living room, just did a focus group at 19, and it was like old school, like presentation, like it was using a projector, so I had to like print the presentation on these like clear slides, and then we projected it onto the wall. I mean, just very, very throwback is what I'll say. And then we started with 6 young ladies. So that next picture is the first 6 young ladies that started. And obviously, these young ladies have grown up and matured and have entered new phases of life of womanhood, becoming wives, becoming mothers, venturing into careers. We had the opportunity to launch and serve young ladies in the Woodbridge, Virginia area for about 5 to 6 years. And then we started a small group in Maryland. And then, of course, as with everybody in the world, we had to manage life with COVID. And so the young lady that's on the end, we just kind of give a little nod to her because she was our first official Gloss member that her whole experience was primarily virtually. And so we just like to show this because as the girls went through phases, Gloss has gone through phases of as well as of growth and of change. So our mission is to challenge young ladies to accept only God's best for their lives. And I know for a fact that that is not easy. When you're young, accepting God's best may be keeping your room clean. When your parents call you, coming to them, you get a little older, it's like, do I sign up for this program or do I sign up for that program? You get a little older, you're trying to figure out what college to go to. Do I date this person? Do I marry this person? Do I take this job? How do I say no? So really, again, as you see in the picture, the phases of life, and you heard me mention phases often. Our mascot is a butterfly. And so we understand very much that there are some days where it is really easy, like the butterfly state. And then there are days where you feel like you're in the caterpillar phase and you're just really struggling. And then sometimes you feel stuck, like you're in the cocoon. But the beauty of the butterfly is that where you start is not always how you end up. So our vision, where we want to go, is global. We do want to see Gloss continue to expand here in the United States, and then we would love to be able to engage young ladies around the world because at the end of the day, I just believe that every young lady's mission should be accepting God's best for her life. And so, what we want to do is build a global sisterhood of Christ centered young ladies. There are lots of organizations out there for girls, but how many are out there for that are Christ centered? And then what I also think is special about Gloss is that we're not affiliated with a particular church or a denomination. It's a freestanding, faith based Christ centered organization. And what we also want to do is be able to provide a network of resources to enhance their lives. So whether it's, hey, I need prayer, or hey, I'm looking for this job opportunity, or hey, I'm trying to gain some service hours, or I'm new to a particular city or area, just being able to have resources that can enhance them. And then our core values, and this is where I would love for you to be thinking about yourself and which ones resonate or you think you might enjoy the most. So we have seven. Our core values are unique. Organizations tend to have core values that are very self discipline and integrity and strength and honor and respect. And those are very, I guess you would say, like solid core values. Ours are a little bit more wellness driven, a little bit more soft, um, interpersonal, self-care related. So pampering, relaxing, eating, testimonials, encouraging, laughing, and learning. Um, for me, my favorite is probably going to be probably eating, which is kind of why I'm like hospitality adjacent. Um, and I probably might say somewhere between learning and encouraging. I'm always watching some documentary or something on YouTube or on TV. I do like to try and have new experiences, and then encouraging. It's really important to me that I see people be okay. So those are probably the most important to me. But I mean, all of them, the reason why I think these core values are special is because if we can actually apply these core values to our lives, they really point to a life that has fulfillment and sense of self and security and identity and care of what God has given. So let me see what you said. All of those speak to you. Yes. So eating and laughing for you. Love it. Um, so then these are our programs. So when a young lady gets involved with Gloss, these are the three programs that she will be participating in. Our program year mirrors the school year, so September through July. Well, really, yeah, September through July. We do Butterfly Cafe September through May. Significant service is September through May also, but then Beyond My Stomping Ground, one of those actually falls in the month of July. So that's why we say September through July. But anyhow, Butterfly Cafe is done virtually, and that's every other Friday, first and third Fridays. And so that's where they really get to do their small group community time. So we have volunteers that are what we call phase coaches. So they facilitate a discussion that's centered around a particular theme. And then significant service, they get to serve in their community once a month. So we have volunteers that plan these activities for them. And it's really also connected to our name. We're God's ladies of significance. Yes, we're important, we're special, all those things, the elect of God, holy and beloved, we're running the world, etc. But there's also the service part, the service to others and the service to God. And then Beyond My Stomping Ground takes place 4 times a year, one per season. And it's really like a field trip. They get to do and take on something that's new and different. So it might be more, sometimes it's more inspiration driven, or sometimes it might be more self care driven. So, an example would be they went to a salt cave. And so that was a bit of that pampering and relaxing. And then another instance, it might have been more physical. So they climbed Stone Mountain, and then at the top had a discussion about the Sermon on the Mount. So it just kind of depends on what the program leaders create and come up with. But our ultimate goal is that through these programs, that they're learning more about who God is, that they're learning more about who they are. They're connecting with each other, and they're picking up just random life skills, intentional, but yet random life skills that are going to be good for them. So these are a couple of pictures of previous experiences that they've had. Another fun thing they did was they went to the Museum of Illusions, which that whole Beyond My Stomping Ground experience was actually about faith and how faith oftentimes requires us to see what we don't see. And like that's how illusions are. You see one thing, but it's something different. And then the core value of eating, they actually got to work and create a meal in a commercial kitchen, and which was really neat, like from scratch, cutting up vegetables, cooking on the stove, creating the sauces, and then the plate presentation and everything. So, and then we got to break bread together, which, always also gives a point back to Jesus and how you're able to do ministry and really connect and bond when you gather over a meal. So those are quick glimpses of the programs. And then this year this is what our young ladies are going to experience during Butterfly Cafe. So the first almost half of the year will be going through a book called Experiencing God. And that's what we want. We want young ladies that are solid, that are rooted in their faith. Doesn't mean that things will be perfect and that they won't have questions and that they won't um need to it's gonna pique their seeking of God. And so really having an encounter with him is what we want to see. And then beginning in February, we'll move into addressing accountability. And I think a lot of times females can sometimes we take that victim route. And yes, there are unfortunate things that do happen to us. Um, but also realizing how much of some of the pain that I'm experiencing is because I made some bad choices. Like, is my heart break because I decided to talk to somebody I didn't need to talk to, or I, pursued something that wasn't God's best for me, or are my health issues the result of poor eating? Am I struggling financially because I am not doing what I need to do with my money? So helping them to learn these things young and early, at 13, at 12, at 9, at 8 years old. And then we're going to wrap up the gloss year in May, really kind of looking at how we are our sister's keeper and um, how do we look for supporting our sister. So how can I look at my sister and say, something, you sure you're okay? Like being able to pay attention enough to know when there is something that should be of concern or addressed. And then also what to do in a situation where someone needs CPR. You're having the time of your life with your friends or your sisters, and then one of them starts choking. What do you do? So really looking at some very hands-on practical things that can literally save a life. So then, um, in terms of getting involved with Gloss, and I know, when people tune into an interest meet about Gloss, they're all looking for something different. Some are looking to be a volunteer, some are interested in membership, some are interested in supporting or donating or partnering. So I share this just in case that there is someone that is interested in getting involved, getting their daughter or a young lady in their life involved. So we are looking to engage young ladies in the Atlanta and the Augusta area presently. But of course, we're very much looking to expand in the next couple of years. Young ladies that are ages 5 and older, young ladies that want a relationship with God. And even at a young age, it doesn't mean that they have to know all the Bible verses and be super spiritual, but just you see that there is a leaning, a hunger, an interest in knowing who God is, being willing to live by biblical principles, looking to, have some friendships and have a heart to serve others. And so the value that Gloss brings is that we bring prevention. So starting early, we bring sisterhood, we bring Christ-centeredness. We love being able to help develop these young ladies to become leaders. Many of our young ladies, they may have been active when they were younger, and then as they get older, they take on leadership positions in their schools or in their college. And then also developing their character Ultimately, we want gloss young ladies to be young ladies that people want to be around, that they want to hire, that they want to come to their schools. And confidentiality and nurturing mentorship is a big deal for us, creating that safe space where they feel comfortable to share about what's happening in their life. Getting involved as a member, the initial step is to do an online application. We do intake once a year. And so the deadline to get involved as a member is going to be the end of September. And so there's an enrollment fee, and then there is a virtual interview that we do because we just like to make sure that Gloss, the young ladies and the parents, that we're all on the same page. And then we do an orientation so that they are acquainted with what the Gloss experience is going to be. And then they begin their rites of passage. So our desire is that young ladies join Gloss, but they join Gloss and become a Gloss butterfly. So they get to actually have the title butterfly in front of their name. And that for us is success. We obviously want girls to enroll, but then we want them to complete their rites of passage over their first gloss year and become a gloss butterfly. And so the impact that we make, our young ladies, as long as they're saying that, hey, gloss is a place I feel seen and heard, I'm growing in my relationship with God, my confidence is developing, then that's how we know we're doing a good job. So getting involved as a volunteer, there are many different ways. There's a quote from Winston Churchill that we always like to share, and that's we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And so our volunteers, some have been involved since like day one, and some people have served only a year. Some people have served for a few years. And then also we have volunteers that kind of change roles. So we have one volunteer in particular, I think over the years, she's probably served in maybe 5 different roles. So there is that opportunity for growth, and you don't have to stay in the same role the entire time. But if you find something that works for you, of course, you can serve there over time. But if you do want to expand and grow, this is a great organization to develop as well as a leader. So getting involved as a volunteer is very similar to getting involved as a member. Application online. We do a meet and greet, and really that is designed to get to know the volunteer candidate, and then because we try to pair, we want it to be a mutual fit. So we want the role that um, Gloss needs to fill, but also it's a role that fills the volunteer. And then we also do background checks. And then from there, we do orientations and regular trainings. So also on the screen, you'll see different ways that you can be involved. So obviously serving directly with the young ladies, that will be with the programs or with being a phase coach or helping to plan events. But then there are other things that are behind the scenes that are just as important, like prayer, marketing or business development. Fund development is also important for us. And then helping to represent the organization. So being able to give a presentation about Gloss, being able to be a representative at a community event where you can be able to share about Gloss with churches or schools, etc. And the other way to support Gloss is to partner. So we have met people over the years who love what we're doing, but they can't necessarily take on a role because their lives just don't permit them schedule wise, or they have the capacity. But there's something else that they can offer. So they can make financial contributions. Anytime there's a post on social, they can reshare it or repost it. Another thing that individuals have done is they will um, partner with Gloss from a business point of view. And so the image on the screen is the founders of a company, sorry, called Because. And what they did for us is they developed a thorough strategic marketing plan for us. So that was their way of supporting Gloss, and literally the things that they have done, we still follow and implement today as well. So being involved with Gloss, staying connected is super, super important. So following on social, joining our mailing list are the different ways that you can be able to stay connected. And so that concludes the presentation on gloss. Thank you for again the opportunity to share. It's always fun and a pleasure for me to be able to do that.